Hello, everybody. Welcome to Beyond BMR. Of course, I am your host, Bigfoot, Michigan Rob. Thank you to everybody for coming on in this evening. We have a great show slated for you. Joining me in Studio B, as always, the lovely Krista Tweedy from the Blondes and the Booze Paranormal Podcast. Please subscribe to the Blondes and Booze if not already. Thank you so much. Kimberly Faith joins me. She joined me last year with Krista and I. It was such a great show that I had to have her I had to have her come back a year later. And I gotta tell you, we're gonna be talking UFOs, Dogman, paranormal, ghosts, little get into a little bit of psychic psychic medium reading. We got it all lined up for you tonight. So that's why it is BMR, because we do everything. Beyond BMR does go beyond the mysteries of the world. We take you on a deep dive to all the rabbit holes. We talk about Dogman, Bigfoot, alien abduction. We talk about time travel, everything. How do all these how do all these things come full circle, or how are they all related, right? If this is your first time here, please subscribe to Bigfoot Michigan Rob on YouTube, Texas Front Porch on YouTube, the Blondes and the Booze Paranormal Podcast on YouTube, and of course, Inhumanoids with Bart Nunnally. Thank you for that. If you'd like to support us here, the super chat's open. The super chat's a great way to help support what we all do around here. And of course, become a BMR pirate. Join today. Join today. Get a little picture of me with my bandana. You become a pirate. Check it out. Thanks for coming in. You can find us on Odyssey Radio, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, wherever podcasts are found, and of course, KPNL Radio. Thank you to the lovely Aunt Selene out in Texas. Going to be a fantastic show. And as you all know, our lineup across the week is Mondays is Texas Front Porch, 8 o'clock to 11. The first hour is Danielle Diva. Then you got Tex and Brandy. That's, of course, 8 in the East. Tuesdays, right here with myself and Krista, Beyond BMR. We come on at 9 o'clock in the East. Wednesdays is Inhumanoids with Barton Nunnally. You can find Barton, Letitia, the girls at 9 o'clock in the East on Wednesdays. Thursday afternoon, myself, brunch with Bigfoot Michigan Rob. I come on 1 o'clock in the East on Thursday. Don't forget Thursday nights, the Blondes and the Booze Paranormal Podcast every Thursday, 9 o'clock in the East with co-hosts Josh Turner. Fantastic show for the Blondes. And if you need a little more woo with the Blondes, they come on Friday at 8 o'clock. And now we're back at 8 o'clock in the East, Friday nights. Check them out. Sundays, Truth or Tinfoil, 5 o'clock in the East. You can find that on the Truth or Tinfoil YouTube channel. They also stream for the rest of this month on Texas Front Porch. They will soon be moving just to their channel starting in April. Sundays, Infamous Minds on 6 o'clock in the East. I think I made a mistake. I think Truth and Tinfoil and Tex are both on Sunday. Go tune in at 5 o'clock in the East. So many different shows, so many things I got to remember, but that's okay. You guys all know where to go. Subscribe, Texas Front Porch, the Blondes and the Booze, Bigfoot Michigan Rob. With that being said, I got to thank everybody that has bought my book, of course. Bigfoot Michigan Rob presents True Cryptid Encounters, Book 1. You can find that on Amazon. The link is pinned up in this chat. You can also find the link on my YouTube page. Thank you for that. For those of you that bought it, YouTube, again, I always say YouTube, but Amazon will come calling and on your email. They'll ask you to leave a review. Please leave a review. It does help promote sales. It's all analytics these days. So thank you for those that bought it. Book 2 will be coming out early summer, by the way. So keep a lookout for that one. Also, June 7th and 8th, the Alabama Bigfoot Conference at the Anniston Performing Arts Center, of course, in Anniston, Alabama. Our Master of Ceremonies, Tex Wesson. Our speakers, Barton Nunnally, Daryl Denton, the Blondes and the Booze, Jason McLean, Greg Ogles, Martin Groves, and of course, yours truly, BMR. Tickets $30 online, $35 at the when you go down there at the booth or whatever you want to call it. I don't know. My knee's been giving me some problems, as most of you know. I'm bringing up lovely Chris.
Yeah, you brought me up and I had a straw in my mouth. I was drinking my soda, but that's okay. Hello.
Well, I don't know if they got that. Hello, Krista. Good to see you.
I'm here.
I know you're here. Well, thanks for coming on in again.
Yeah.
As you are every Tuesday night at 9 in the East.
For sure.
And yeah, I'm not getting into my tale of woe. For those that follow me, you know that I've been down and out. I had knee surgery 3 years ago, and yeah, I got to go back in for some more surgery in April. I got some things floating in the knee, which is causing grief. I finally got a cortisone shot to kind of trap those little buggers. So I finally have some comfort today. After I literally couldn't walk, Krista, for like.
Oh, I know days. You were in a lot of pain.
And I was supposed to make an appearance on your show, Texas show, and I was like, look, I just couldn't do it until finally I saw the doctor today. And so now I'm we put the patch on it for the lack of a better word.
Yeah.
So I'm ready to go, and so on. Life goes on.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, it does.
It's true.
But you know what, though? You're gonna get, and you'll be just fine by June, right?
Oh, I'll be fine by June. I'll be fine for the Alabama Bigfoot conference. That's for sure.
There you go.
I should be fine by this weekend.
Good.
I mean, that cortisone works wonders. I mean, I feel like I could run a marathon right now.
Oh, that's fantastic. But please don't.
But no, the doctor said it's fake. It's masking the problem.
Right. It's just a Band-Aid.
It's just a Band-Aid. And if I went out and ran a mile, I would probably make it worse. So I got to lay a little low with that. So thanks to everybody for the well wishes, and thanks for everybody for coming on in. We already got a packed house already, 40 plus and rolling. So I appreciate that. So thanks to everybody for coming in.
Yeah.
Chris, so we had Kim on last year. It was a very well received show.
Mm-hmm.
This lady, wow. I don't know how we can fit it all in a 90-minute show. So my next show is Tuesday. So I think we could probably go 36 hours with this woman.
There you go.
And without further ado, thanks to everybody for coming on in. I'm going to bring up. Oh, by the way, she's a Michigander too.
There you go.
Another person from Michigan. Kimmy, I'm 3, 2, 1. There you are.
Hello.
Hi, Krista. Hi, Rob.
Good to have you.
Thank you. Good to be here.
It's funny because it's almost like time flies when you're having fun. You were actually on the show exactly 1 year ago.
Was it this show or brunch?
It was actually this show. It was a night show. No, because you did the show with me.
Yeah.
It was when you first, came aboard.
That's why I didn't know if it, because I did brunch for a long time with you. We did.
Well, yeah, Chris has been my co-host on brunch. Now she's on Beyond.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Krista, we've been tied at the hip for a while ourselves.
Right. We go way back, man.
We go way back, way back. We go way back to the old Show Me State,
There we go.
And so it was funny because, and Kim is really cool, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And she gives me a call, and I don't know who this person is. Hey, I'm kind of bored. It's been a year. I'm like, who are you? So I don't know who it was. So in my phone, it said, Kim Dogman woman or something to that effect.
Wow.
Yeah. Because Kim, I'm being fun with you. The last name Padgett, and then it's also when I have Faith. I'm like, okay,
right.
Yes, now I remember. The UFO.
Yes, that's me.
Yeah. So now then I said, yes, absolutely. I'm always looking for guests, and it's about time. So I'm glad. I'm glad I got you scheduled in.
Me too.
for this show, because I've turned over the audience in the last year. I got a lot of my same true followers are still here, and
Mhm.
we've got a little bit bigger in a year, and
A lot of new people.
a lot of new people,
That's
a lot of new
awesome.
faces.
It's a
And
great
again,
channel.
yeah, thank you so much,
Thank
and
you.
everybody coming on in. I love you all for coming in. Thank you so much. And so yeah, this would be a nice. We'll unveil Kim once again. So real briefly, before we get into this, what's going on with you, if you want to just give everybody a little brief background, and we'll get it rolling.
Okay. So I would say I'm a psychic medium. I have some telepathic abilities that's totally random. um, I don't read everybody's thoughts, but they do come to me at times.
Mhm.
I was raised in a paranormal type family. My first astral travel, I was 5, and I don't have a lot of childhood memories, and I think it's because I've been abducted a few times that I don't recall. That's very common,
Mhm.
I hear. But I saw the Grim Reaper when I was a teenager. My grandma saw it too. So I was kind of raised in a family that was completely normalizing paranormal activity.
Sure.
So that kind of was my anchor for like my life, because I've had some very really cool encounters
Mhm.
ever since I was 5, and there was a long dry spell for about 10-15 years, and then all of a sudden I was abducted again. I remember being on this UFO ship, and I was an instant medium after that. That's when I got my telepathic abilities. I saw spirits. Yeah, it's been a crazy journey. It seems
Wow.
like every year I learn or I do more things that I didn't know I had.
Mhm.
It seems with me that as I mentioned in the earlier stanza, I mean,
Yeah.
you've had everything from UFO experience, alien, dogman, paranormal, ghosts. So, and we don't have to chronicleize this entire.
Okay.
We'll take
Okay.
it from wherever you want to go with it, and we'll talk about UFO is chasing you down, people like Little Dogman. But the first thing that
Mhm.
kind of strikes me is this, which is kind of creepy. You mentioned the Grim Reaper
Yeah.
experience,
Yeah.
and I haven't
This is a very,
spoken.
very good story.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I've not spoken with many people that have encountered the Grim Reaper, at least not
Yeah.
that I know of.
Who've
So,
lived.
Right.
yeah, usually it doesn't end up
Yeah.
too good for the person
Right.
seeing the
Yeah.
Grim Reaper.
Oh, I got
So, you, so you,
goosebumps
s-
talking.
so you, well, yeah, you survived this, obviously. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're here.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
Um, if you weren't here, I don't know what I've done tonight.
My kids, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you made it through that. But I tell you, if you want to start the show, let's go
Yep.
through this little Grim Reaper tale.
Oh, I'd be happy to. It wasn't a very scary story at all. In fact, it was almost comforting in a way when I saw him. But I was living back with my grandma. I was 19, so this is 1982. I know it's not chronological, but my brain's like, I gotta tell you. um, but I had a really, really bad flu. I might have had mono. I think the doctor might have thought I had mono, but I went to the doctor and they gave me some antibiotics when they give them to you in the hip, and I couldn't break this fever. I don't remember the number, but I was always hot for that 2 days. It wouldn't go down. So I remember going to bed, and my grandma would wake me up every 2 or 3 hours just to check on me, to give me water, give me that orange aspirin, and just to give me the pills, whatever the doctor
Mhm.
prescribed. And I would fall right back asleep. Right when she would wake me up, I'd go right back out. And then I was completely awake. I looked at the left of my bed where my left foot was, and there was this a blacker than black figure than my room. It was darker than dark. And it had like a Gregorian looking robe, um, had the hood. I didn't have anything in its hand. There was no features in the face whatsoever. And I remember looking at him, and I felt like I had to go with him. I didn't feel scared. I felt like he was doing his job. if that makes sense. It's just like I just had this empathic knowing that I was going to go with him. And
Wow.
then he took me, I blinked my eyes, and then we were at the side of my grandma's, the side door of the house. And he was standing there again with two little girls, one on each side of him. And they were about 5 or 6 years old of age. They were just short, and I was 19. And I had this feeling like he's collecting my sister and I, but I'm not 5 or 6. I'm trying to reason with him. I'm like, no, I'm not going. That's not, I'm not 5, you know, but I had this feeling. It was like he was collecting us. I can't explain it even to now, I can't. And then I was back in my bed, blacked out. And I woke up in the morning and I came out of my room and I said, Gran, I got to tell you this. And I didn't know this, but my gran was telling me I was dripping in sweat, and which is good, I guess.
Mhm.
And I said, I had the weirdest thing happen to me. And I explained to her that I saw the Grim Reaper, and oh my God, goosebumps. And she said, I saw what you saw. I was in the room with you. Did I be getting goosebumps? It's really
Wow.
weird. Okay. So she says, I saw the Grim Reaper. I saw him by your bed. I seen him by your foot. And she's seen him standing with the two little girls at the side door. But she said, I was just like peeking my head in. It was like me peeking her head in my bedroom. She couldn't do anything. She was just observing it. And I just had this feeling. I felt like my grandma, like her soul and her love was fighting for me. I just had that knowing that it wasn't like she fought for me in a way, like how she felt for me and how she was, the love she had. Like, I don't know. I can't describe it. It's just that's what I feel, that her love helped me that night. That's why I wasn't taken.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, and I found out later, they said that if you live, after you see the Grim Reaper, you become one. Well, me being a medium, I guess that would be so. I would be taking the dead to where they need to go.
Yeah.
So I don't know how true that is, but I can see me being a gateway since I do send spirits home.
Wow.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So the Grim Reaper, did he look like the typical?
I mean, he didn't have any creepy like facial expressions. It was just the big hood that covered his head, and it was like a Gregorian Grim Reaper type robe, but he didn't have anything in his hand. But I knew I had to go with him, but I wasn't scared.
So
But I was
when
that close to death, though, for sure.
when you knew you had to go with him, were you thinking though you're going somewhere and it's not up?
No, I was not scared whatsoever.
Yeah.
I felt like he was just doing his job, and I just need to go with him. I didn't even process that I was dead. I didn't process that until when I woke up and I was drenched. And
Wow.
then when my grandma confirmed that she saw the Grim Reaper in the bedroom with me, I think that was when I'm like, I was supposed to die that night.
Wow. Yeah. Somebody asked, Jojo said, would that be considered a near-death experience? I absolutely would say so. Yeah.
I would say it was, because I was in that astral kind of world, I guess. And but the thing about it, I wasn't scared at all. I wasn't like, when you're really scared in the astral and you're like, you can't move, like I was with the UFO. I couldn't move. I was so scared. I was like, okay, I just got to go with this guy.
Right.
I was more like, wow, this is different.
Yeah. And the fact that you weren't scared, so like that, maybe that doesn't necessarily mean like he was going to take you to hell because you weren't scared. You know what I'm
I
saying?
didn't feel
Maybe
that at
just
all.
Yeah, and
Yeah, I agree.
the Grim Reaper does have a negative connotation to it, but I'm just thinking after hearing
that's
this,
the media too has done that,
Yeah,
the media's
it
done it.
depends on the lore. Different countries have different takes.
you get the big picture of the dark hooded character with that sickle, sickle in his
Right.
hand.
Right.
Grim Reaper, though, maybe it's just it comes to us in death, and it's maybe not supposed to be negative. It just says you're at your personal end of times for your
Yeah.
this lifetime,
Right.
and
Yeah.
it just means that, hey, you know what, you're moving on, and it
Mhm.
might, and who knows where you're going,
That's
depending
exactly
on
how
your belief,
it felt.
depending on your belief system and all these other things. Correct?
Yeah.
Yes. I wasn't scared. I just felt like, oh, okay. I just have to go into like the next room or something. Or what, I mean, I wasn't really processing it a lot, but like I said, living in a paranormal type family, that was like, oh, okay, I saw the Grim Reaper. How cool is that? But
Yeah.
everybody probably sees him.
Bristol says something here, Bristol says the Grim Reaper doesn't take people to hell. He protects souls from evil.
Yes.
He is an angel.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
again, Russell, I like
And
that
I have
comment.
confirmation
I like
on
that
that.
too.
Yes, I feel that.
Mm-hmm.
I like that comment. So it looks like the Grim Reaper perhaps is getting a bad rap.
Yeah,
What's that?
absolutely.
Yeah.
I didn't feel loved and I didn't feel scared. I just felt like a coworker, if you will. Come on, you got to come with me. That's kind of like what it felt like. I just,
Mm-hmm.
it was just so neutral.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, and they say that I've heard many people, even a couple mediums I've seen, they said, you've had a brush with death, and that's another reason why my abilities,
Mhm.
are what they are. And they said you become the Grim Reaper, but I'm like, I didn't know what that meant until I became a medium, like an instant medium when I was on that UFO again. So it's like I can see me being a bridge to
Sure.
people,
So you think you have a connection with these people that are moving on, passing on from one
Oh,
world to the next?
I've sent a lot of spirits home with my shaman friend. Yep.
Yeah.
I brought those stories with me. if we have time.
No, we got. Oh, don't worry about it. We have plenty of time. I mean, Chris has got a bedtime, but good old BMR. I'm finally glad to be up and getting around.
Right.
But I got to ask you, being
Mhm.
what would you say? Being moved on past. What's the terminology? Move when you're going from a death, you're moving on. Help them
Yeah,
cross over.
like a bridgeway.
Cross over.
Yeah, cross them
Cross
over.
over.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
you always hear about crossing over.
Mm-hmm.
And people have the ability to help people cross over. And typically, we mostly hear crossing over to perhaps the light. Have you come in any experiences where you think this person, and I don't know how this would even work, I don't know how to process this, but if a person was inherently evil, can you sense that perhaps they're supposed to be crossed over to the dark side, for the lack of a better word?
I don't know if I actually believe in evil. I mean, I know it's a touchy subject. I know people get attachments and they get influenced to do things. But I had somebody, I think that I said this to you on your last show. I had an 80-year-old woman forgive her father who was hurting her inappropriately. Since I don't know, this is a kid show. But he came through when I was in a group therapy session. And there were 8 of us in a room, and we all felt something was happening. And I said, I'm a medium. Can I give you a message? And she said, sure. And without being religious, but Jesus was in the room. We all saw him and felt him. And all of our hair stood up. And then this old lady's father stepped through. And he was begging for forgiveness. And Jesus says he needs to be redeemed. And I still don't know what that means, because you think you know things and then you hear that.
Sure.
But I think everybody is redeemable. But she forgave him, and we all saw it. It was amazing.
Wow.
She was crying, and she had so much hatred and anger for this man.
Mm-hmm.
And then when keep getting goosebumps on this one too. But when the reading was done, she was crying with laughter and happiness, and she was dancing, and so I think everybody's redeemable, and I think that's kind of like a medium's job in a way. We're kind of like a counselor for the dead and for the people here,
Mhm.
because I mean, some things have been pretty horrendous, and that's my forte as a
Mhm.
medium. I send a lot of spirits home, and they have a lot of apologies to the people here,
Yeah.
and you
You know,
see the healing right there in front of you.
right? You just mentioned a little earlier. You don't necessarily believe in evil. Now, again, I don't believe in evil or follow evil. However, though,
Yeah,
and
I
I'm
know
not
it's
going to get into
there. It's
religion, evil.
touchy.
Just like
Yeah,
good, and just like I believe that. Okay, again, I've said this many a times. Not to get deep into the subject, I believe in
yeah.
God. I was raised Catholic. I believe in God. Therefore, I believe in the devil. Not that I believe and worship the devil. Of course not. But if I'm going to believe in God, then I certainly have to believe in the devil from what I've learned throughout my life growing up, right? So to me, when you comes up to the time for you to pass on, if you are that person that maybe doesn't, maybe you've
Hmm.
led a bad life, and I don't want to, because hey, listen, again, not to get all religious, we've all committed sins, right? We've all done
Yeah.
things that we regret, and maybe in the eyes of the Lord are sins. But
Mhm.
I'm talking about people that are bad, murderers, and so on.
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that.
Right.
They're evil. And I guess when it's time for them to cross over, the thing that fascinates me the most is are they automatically going to hell from the people, the experience you had, or does Jesus forgive all as long as you open up your heart and you go to heaven? And again, I
Well,
don't want to make this a religious show, and after this,
no,
I'll get your
I
take.
might have an answer for you on that, because I trust the dead more than I do people here.
Okay.
So, from the experiences that I've had when people who have
Mhm.
crossed over and they communicate to me or to their loved ones, they say there's levels of heaven. There are particular 7 levels. So, it's like, so there's always this place, but you might be in level 1, like Hitler or something. It might be the least closest to God, if you will,
Gotcha.
Okay.
if that
Gotcha.
if that makes sense. So,
It
so
does.
and I've heard that repetitively on different occasions from people who have passed on to give, just because I want to know, like, what's it like, So that's what I get. There's different levels, and you go to whatever level how you lived your life.
I think, yeah, that satisfies me. I mean, again, I don't want to make this an
Yeah.
elaborate thing
Yeah,
about that, and we can move on from that because there's so much
yeah,
things with you
Mhm.
that we can talk about.
yeah.
I want you to bring it up without me asking it as it comes to your mind. But I do have to bring up this, and there's two of them in my mind right off the bat. And I know you talked about this before, but I think the people that have never heard you before, you got to tell us about you being chased down by that UFO.
Okay, this is awesome. Okay, and I have a witness, so I'm not crazy.
No,
We don't
everybody,
think you're crazy.
I will.
I
No, yeah, if you're watching
appreciate
this
you.
show, you have a little crazy in you. We all embrace, we
Well,
all embrace the weird, we all
Yeah,
embrace the weird on this show. By the way,
right.
I feel very welcomed here, so it's all good.
Good. Yeah.
Um, so in 1978, I was 15. I was living in Holly, in a rural country part of Holly, and my friend would come get me. He would live across the cornfield down a ways, and he would come and get me 2 or 3 times a night, throughout the year. Go out and have a cigarette, smoke a doobie or whatever. But when we saw this UFO, we weren't smoking a doob, so we were totally aware. We were
Mhm.
not drunk or anything, but so he came and got me around midnight, like the normal time, and I remember walking down my dirt driveway, and we lived on a little dirt road too. And I went to turn, and I looked at my friend's house, and I said, "Okay, like, what is that, like, on top of your house right there?" Like, it was freaking me out. It was just big, huge disc with these lights, different color lights going around and around. And as soon as I said that, I started running, and he goes, "I don't know." So that's all I remember him saying. Then he was running next to me. So we were running down the dirt road, and we went to the shed where we'd always have a cig or, you know, listen to music or whatever. And we dove in there, didn't have a door or anything. And it was in the middle of the night. It was summer, and all the crickets stopped. You know, the frogs. You know the country sound, right?
Yeah.
Everything just
And I
got
also know when that stops, you got to start. Your head has to be on a swivel.
Yeah, exactly. So we dove in there into the shed, and it didn't have a door, but I was peeking my head out, and this thing was ginormous. It was like the mothership of Close Encounters. You know, it was really big. It didn't have all those lights, but it had those different color lights going around and around. And I remember the dome on top of the UFO because I remember the windshield, if you will. It was like a dome, and it had like these little seams, like, you know, replacement glass or whatever seams. And I just remember looking at it, and I couldn't move. I was totally paralyzed. And I was trying to look at my friend. I couldn't even look at my friend at all. And I just remember being super, super scared and being paralyzed, and just kept on looking at this. And I'm waiting for like a little green man coming out, but nothing came out. And I just remembered I couldn't do anything. And then the next morning I woke up. I don't even know how I got home. I don't know how long I stood there. Because I woke up that very next morning, and I saw my friend later that day, and I didn't talk about it, and he didn't talk about it. We weren't ready to talk about it like at all. I spoke with him a couple of years ago because I was like drawing these pictures of what I saw. And I said, "Do you remember anything?" He goes, "I remember hiding in the shed with you." I'm like, "Come on, dude. Like, you got to know more than that." You know? But he didn't. He remembers like running to the shed, hiding in the shed, but he couldn't move in the shed because even when I was trying to look at him, he was on the ground cowering. And but that's all he remembers. But the thing about this, he gets alien visits at night. They look like cat people.
So to this day,
yeah, he's had alien encounters, visitors at night since then.
So maybe at that time they were there more for him, and you just happened.
Yeah, I was just hitching a ride with that. Could be. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. He's very intuitive too. So he's got some ability with that. But he says, he gets these visitors during the night on and off throughout his life.
Do they scare him, or is it something he's?
No, he doesn't feel scared. No.
Wow. Interesting.
Not at all. And he particularly says they look like half cat, half women.
You know, I've heard of that. I've definitely heard of that before.
Yeah.
And that's again, we all have different experiences and just some of the things that we come across. Isn't it really hard isn't it so hard to process this? Whether or not you think is this happening? Am I in a different dimension? Am I going crazy? But we know in our heart of hearts that it's actually taking place. Did you feel like that throughout this whole entire ordeal?
I think I was like in survival mode. Like I was just so scared, and I couldn't process anything. I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell my mom. I don't even think I told my sister. I kept it like quiet for so many years because I thought they would think I was crazy, you know?
Sure.
And because I wasn't living with my grandma then. I was living with my mom, and I didn't feel comfortable telling her anything about my life because we weren't close. So if I was living with my grandma at the time, I'd probably be like, "Oh my God, Gran." You know? So I didn't tell anybody until way later.
Wow.
Yeah. I just remember that feeling being chased too. It was just like you felt like these eyeballs the size of saucers, literally, no pun intended, but you know, following you. And it was like from there to there in a second, from his house to to the shed. And that's probably a quarter mile apart.
Was there any missing time?
Oh, Krista. See, Krista and I should be brother and sister, or we have some sort of telepathy going on because she
I
always steals my questions.
I'm sorry. I'll
yeah,
keep my
I
mouth shut.
don't know. I don't know
No,
how
no,
I
no,
got
you're
home.
fine. You're fine.
I don't know how I got home, Krista. I have no idea. I don't know who put me in bed. I don't know if I was carried in or if I was
Interesting.
beamed in. And I didn't know at the time to look for any kind of scars or anything because I didn't. I've never encountered. That was a first, and I
Wow.
don't think I was watching Lost in Space until after that because I couldn't process what happened. But in the back of my mind, it's like it's normal.
Mhm.
Because being in a paranormal home, it's normal.
Right.
So you just kind of normalize it and you just like, let's not talk about this anymore because I can't compare that with anybody.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
So I was reading some things. So Kim, would you say, let me ask you for our audience and you can elaborate however you want to do this. So number one, do you think that you're an abductee from another world, alien abductee? And also, have you had any communications along with aliens? Kind of a double two questions in one. But I'll let you kind of sift through that wherever you want to go with that.
I know obviously I'm an abductee just because 2002 confirms that because I was inside that same UFO.
Yeah.
And I'm a contactee. Now I think my mediumship, I get help from them. I think this might be kind of deep, but I think we're all kind of hybrids of different species, to be honest with you. And I think our abilities are whatever our hybrid is, if you will. I know it sounds weird, but to me, it's like, normal. So, but I think we all have special gifts and everything, but I know, sorry, I lost track on that. Sorry.
That's fine. Keep going. You're fine. You're doing great.
Yeah. So I don't know if I don't. I've gotten visitors at night. I've woken up before with my dog straddling over me, growling at the ceiling, and I I had these demonologists come over, and they're Bigfoot people too. They do all kinds of stuff, I guess, and they said I was living on a ley line, and which would enhance the chance, if you will, to have more experiences. And that's where I got the picture of the turtle man on my trail cam. I have weird encounters with different things like that, but I don't see them unless my dog sees them or I catch them on the trail cam or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, they do visit me though. I feel them in my room.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's like, have you had like thoughts sent to your mind telepathy wise where you don't know where it's coming from? I mean, it's like, where did this come from?
Yes. Yeah, I've had that before. It's taken me a long time just to really calm that down because you could be called schizophrenic really easily, yeah, I hear voices,
Right.
but some would just harass me. There would be one guy that would have a megaphone. Who are you? Wake me up at 2 a.m. I'm like, stop doing that, jerk,
Right.
just people playing with me, but that hasn't happened in such a long time. Yeah, I live in a very more quiet life now, so I don't really get harassed. I think electronics enhances all that.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm just trying to think. Krista, you can jump in anytime you want. I'm just trying to formulate some thoughts here. Have you ever been?
It's a lot, I know.
No, it's a lot to take in, and I love it. I love it. I'm trying to take it all in because I know how I would react to things like this. You think then that with your abilities that you're more aware of everything that's around you, you're more sensitive to like anything. Whether you're walking down a trail in the woods, whether you're looking at the stars at night, do you get the thoughts and senses that there's some other beings trying to get in touch with you for whatever the reason? Maybe they need help for the
Yes,
past on.
like aliens, I think they try to connect with me, and the spirits try to connect with me. So it's you have to learn to differentiate. Is this an off-worlder, or is this somebody who's passed on that needs help, or or sometimes they just want to talk because they're just lonely, so I mean it really is it's a bag of different things.
It's a
I'm sure
mixed
Krista
bag.
can relate.
Well, I think once you're open to that kind of thing, like Rob kind of asked, like the ghosts, UFOs, and I do know you mentioned something about Dogman too, so we can get to that. But like all of them, you're open to one. I believe you're open to all of it.
I think we're all like family. I think we're all in the same storm here and just in different boats.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're all a part of this, pieces of this and pieces of this race. And I think it's just we tap into whatever that ability of that race is. Like some people have really strong empathic gifts. Some are mediums, things like that.
Right.
Some are healers. To me, it's based on the race of who's working with you.
Yeah.
And even Chris brought up a good point, which I always like to ask people, especially Kim, with somebody of your abilities, when we talk about cryptids, Dogman, Bigfoot, ghosts, the paranormal, UFOs, and aliens, I believe everything's connected. I think it could be the same plane or a different dimension, but I think under the same realm, it all comes together. So I feel that about myself. I think Krista does too, to an extent. So do you think that's reasonable to think that if you tap into these off-worlders, or perhaps you tap into a Bigfoot crossing the road, do you think that it's all connected? And once you have an encounter with something, you're open to everything?
Yes, absolutely. Without a doubt. Being on that ship, which I can go over in 2012, it opened up my spidey senses. My telepathic communication kicked in. I mean, they zapped me with something because I was not the same person after that, So I think there's so many portals to different dimensions and different worlds out there. And I think Bigfoot they know how to do that. They have families, they bury their dead. They live like us, but they're recluses. They don't want to be bothered. But I think they go in and out of different portals, knowing that they're portals. I think they're way more smarter than us when it comes to the paranormal. I think they know how to manipulate it.
Oh yeah. Absolutely, they do.
Can you talk a little bit about this ship that you're on? Like, describe it. Like, was it like, when I think about going on a ship, I'm thinking about dull steel with an open window to the galaxy.
Well, I didn't bring my luggage or anything, so I don't know what it looked like on the outside. They grabbed me from the inside of my bed. So what happened
They at
was,
least let you bring your mattress.
I didn't even bring my mattress. Not even a pillow.
Were you on a steel gurney?
Yeah, I was on top of a conveyor belt.
Oh.
So they snatched me up from my room, and I was going feet first. Went down into my basement first. Saw my grandma, which she died like 30 years ago, and then I saw my daughter down there, and we had a keyboard. Everything was switched over. All the furniture was switched over to each side. It was like the piano was here and it should have been here, and everything was just so different. And then I'm like, what are you doing up so late? And I didn't even think about why my grandma was there. I was more like talking to my daughter, like, why are you up?
Right.
And then I turn around, I go back up the stairs, and then I'm through the roof of my home. And then I am coming through, it looks like I'm coming through like an MRI machine, but my feet are going first. And I don't like closed places, so I wasn't in there long, but I just remember my feet were going first. I didn't see my feet, but I was going this way. And there were 4 people to the left of me and 4 people to the right of me. And this one lady, I'll never forget her. She's still in my brain. Had short blonde hair. They looked human. They weren't like menacing or scary. They were just looking at me. And so I'm on top of this conveyor belt, just going. And then it stopped. And then there's this guy. He looks like he's from India. He's a shorter guy, maybe 5'4", maybe.
Wow.
And he had a doctor smock on. I'm looking for his name. I couldn't find his name. Like Santero, what are we looking at? Like, where are we? And I was really starting to get scared. And he goes, Kimberly, what's the matter? You don't remember me? And I'm like, get me out of here. I don't want to be here. Where's my grandma? She was my savior, And I remember looking at the windows, and they were like a dome, and they had the same scenes as the UFO did that I saw in '78. And I remember the instrument panel was completely white, had like knobs. There was no lights or anything. It looked like it was for show mostly, but it had like knobs and buttons and stuff. But nothing, there was nobody, mining it. And when I said I wanted my grandma, I was thrown back into my bed, like, and I was back. It's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. And ever since then, it's been a crazy ride.
Wow.
And for the most part, then it's a positive experience. I mean, positive, right?
Well, yeah, I couldn't see my legs or feet or my arms. And I was more worried. Like I was trying to kick and scream and I couldn't see anything. I felt like I had them, but I didn't see them. So that was worrisome for me. I was a little pissed because I couldn't get off the conveyor. I want to get off that conveyor belt.
If I would have been on a conveyor belt during this entire process, I'm thinking nothing but the worst. I'm thinking good old BMR. I'm going to be processed by the aliens. And my little body is going to be stuffed into little cans for the aliens to feed their, little alien pets.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of a food processor. I'm just thinking back to my days in the factory. It's not good being on a conveyor belt. Not at all.
And I wasn't like laying on it. I was just like right above it. I was going with the gravity of the pull. And when I think he was a doctor. I don't know. He had a smock on, He didn't have a stethoscope or anything, but I felt like he was kind of important, But he telepathically talked to me, and he didn't have an accent from India or anything, but he looked like he would have passed easily from India. And I don't know what type of alien that is. Oh, one major thing I forgot to tell you. So when I was looking at him, he had one human eye, and the other eye had a slit, like a reptilian or a cat. Clear. It was clear as day. Like he had brown eyes, and one was completely like just like a cat or a reptilian, like a snake or something.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So that was some hybrid guy. And that's where I get my thoughts of hybrids. I think I'm a hybrid of that.
Wow.
Because he was welcoming me. I didn't feel threatened. I was more pissed. I couldn't find my legs, and I was stuck on this dang conveyor belt. Like I want to get down, and they wouldn't let me. But he was really nice to me. They all were. They were all just like the people who were to the left and the right of me, looking down at me. They had like no expression, but they didn't look threatening or happy. It was just very neutral.
Wow.
Yeah. It's really strange.
No, it is.
Yeah, I'm still looking for answers.
Mm-hmm. I can imagine.
Yeah, and again, that's why you're on here, because we're all looking for answers. Because everybody, whether you're in a chat room or listening, wherever you're listening to today, we've all had things happen to us, so we need answers for that. Maybe we'll get them one day, maybe we won't. You know what I mean? And that's why we do this. That's why we do these shows. That's why people come on. And that's why Kim, I mean, I was talking to you on and off for the whole week, and you're just sending me reams and reams of information that you've encountered or that you wonder. Well, I like it because again, it's like, I'm like, I'm just looking and reading these things. I'm like, wow, that's like, yes,
Right.
yeah.
I thought I was trying to scare you away, like you're so full of shit. But
No.
I've been through so much, and I can't explain it. It's just like you just move forward, like, oh, then that happened, and then, oh, now I can hear dogs talking to me now. Great.
Yes, I got that too. The little bow wows talking to you. We're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into. There's so much more to talk about.
I gotta tell you that story. It's the greatest story ever.
We can get into that story after this. I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
I gotta take about a 10 seconds for our advertisers, which you're not gonna see the advertisement here. It's gonna be on the podcast. But for everybody, if this is your first time here, please subscribe to Bigfoot Mystery Rob on YouTube. Subscribe to the Blondes and the Booze Paranormal Podcast on YouTube. Texas Front Porch on YouTube. Bart Nunley Inhumanoids on YouTube. The show times are in the beginning of every show. Again, don't forget about the Alabama Bigfoot Conference coming up the 7th and 8th in Anniston, Alabama. And don't forget to subscribe, like, leave a comment, turn on the alert bell. And with that being said, oh, yes, Super Chat's open. And also become a BMR pirate today. Join up. So with that being said, we can talk into the dog talk.
Oh, this is the best thing I've ever experienced.
And Kim, I'll be listening. I got to let my dog out right quick. So I'm going to leave you to Krista for about 2 minutes. And thanks for everybody for coming on. Love you all. I'll be back in like 2 minutes.
Sounds good.
I gotta get up now. I gotta get up. I need this cane to get up out of my seat.
Welcome to the cane club.
Poor Rob. So, I guess we weren't even live yet. We were just chatting backstage.
Yeah.
You said that you used to do like the ghost hunting and stuff as well.
I did. Yeah, I used to do all that. And send spirits home if they wanted to. Never force them to or anything like that. I kind of outgrew that though. I guess every medium has to do some ghost hunting, right? Like so. But it was grueling. There'd be hours you don't do anything or see anything. So it was just I'm more of a mover kind of thing. So so I would then, my friend and I, my shaman friend, we would clear houses if they call us and say we have this activity, and then we would collect the evidence sometimes, but then we would pretty much send them home or send them away or things like that. But the talking dogs was, I'll probably laugh the whole time. I'm going to try not to, because this was like the funnest thing I've ever experienced in my life. I mean, this was in 2018, and I took my kitten to Saginaw, Michigan at the 24-hour vet because he had a fever or whatever. So they took him back to do x-rays to make sure whatever was wrong with him. So I'm sitting there. There's a room full of people in the waiting room, and to the right of me, there's this beagle just staring at me. I'm just like, oh, he's so cute, I'm just, how you just talk to yourself, whatever. So he comes closer to me, and then the owner says, oh my gosh, my dog never goes up to anybody. And I said, well, I have a wolf totem, so dogs kind of like me. And I'm like, she's probably thinking I'm crazy, but dogs like me.
That's awesome.
This dog. I hear this voice like, hey lady, can you hear me? I'm literally looking around, and I'm looking at the dog. He goes, yeah, me. I'm like, oh no, I've lost my mind. I have lost my mind. I have never had this experience before, like ever. And I mean, I've had dogs communicate, but you would just have feelings,
Yeah.
So I'm looking around, and I have my hand over my mouth, and I'm like, do you have something to say? What's going on? And the lady, the owner, she keeps talking to me. Oh my gosh, he really likes you. And I said, okay, I'm going to tell you straight. I'm a medium, and I think your dog's talking to me. And you can almost hear all the necks crack looking at me in the waiting room. tell me what his problems were.
Uh-huh.
He says, please tell my new owner I have a really bad sensitive stomach. My previous owner would always yell at me, and I'm just sitting there like I'm listening.
Mm-hmm.
The owner goes, my dog's talking to you, isn't he? I go, yeah, hold on,
Right.
So he's telling me all the stories about his abuse and how his stomach was really always upset. He's always nervous.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I said, are you done? He goes, yeah, please tell her all this because I think I just need to have like bland food. And this is the man's voice.
Wow.
It's not a cartoon voice, okay?
Right.
And so I'm looking at the woman and I go, so what your dog's telling me is that he has a very sensitive stomach and he needs like bland food and he was very much abused. She goes, oh my gosh, we keep coming here because he's always throwing up and he's always seems nervous. And so I says, you'll be okay. Give him some lamb or something, or let the doctor give him some like bland food. Not even 2 seconds later, I hear this other dog with a British accent going, hey, I'm over here.
Oh, you were too cute. You're cracking me up.
Who hears a dog with an English accent, right?
Well, first of all, who hears a dog with any accent?
I know. I've already accepted the beagle talk to me, but this is like clear on the other side of the room. He goes, I'm over here. I'm like, oh no. So I look and I don't even see the dog. I see the woman. She's in the corner. She goes, is my dog talking to you? I go, is your dog British? And she goes, he's from England. He's a King Charles Spaniel, I guess. He's a very special dog. So I go over there. So I said, okay, I've already accepted it. People are going to think I'm crazy. So I just went with it. So I went down on my knees and I was talking to the dog. And he said, please tell her to stop taking me to her Reiki session. I can't take it anymore. This isn't a British accent. I'm like,
oh my God.
Okay. I said, okay. So what's going on? And he says, I have like a skin infection all the time. I have rashes all over my body. He said the energy is too much. And she's asking me, what's he saying? Oh, hang on. And then this grandfather shows up in the waiting room, a ghost, spirit, whatever, stands next to the dog. And he goes, I gave her this dog. I'm the grandfather. I'm like, great. I got all these people talking to me now, and I got dogs talking to me. So I told her and I said, are you a Reiki master? This is going to sound crazy. She goes, no, I am. I said, please don't take this dog to your sessions. It's burning his skin. She goes, that's why we're here. He's got lesions all over. It's the energy. I go, the energy. She goes, I thought that it was helping him. And I said, no, dogs can't handle that energy. It's too much. She goes, I said, your grandfather's here too. She started crying. She goes, he gave me this dog 2 weeks before he died. And I said, I know, he's right here. So I gave her the message for her, from her grandfather. And then by that time they said, Mo's ready. So I went to go get Mo. And so I left and she stopped me in the parking lot and she gave me this Reiki infused bracelet. I've moved like 3 times since or twice since, but it was a crazy day because I've never had any dog talk to me like that, let alone with a British accent.
Yeah.
So it's probably one of my most treasured experiences I've ever had. The encounter. Yeah. So when I go to the vet, sometimes I'm like, oh please no, I don't want to talk to anybody right now. I just want to be normal.
That's
Did
awesome,
you hear that, Spike? Talk to me, buddy. Talk to me. Come on, Spike.
Do you feel like
that
Dr.
whole British
Doolittle?
accent though? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. You should take a trip to the zoo and just walk through and see if any other animals talk to you and
Yeah.
That's great, Krista. Yes.
And I'd like to go with you just to see if they do.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome. I mean, I'm so like, I hate to see any animals caged in SeaWorld. I'm really, because I feel that like, oh, you're trapped, It's probably more me than them, but yeah, I mean, my dog doesn't talk to me or my cats, which is good, But those two, it was the craziest. Just this cute little beagle, like, hey, I know you hear me, kind of like talking to me. I'm like, oh God, no.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
So fun.
That kind of reminds me, for anybody that owns pets, and whether it's a dog, a cat, or whatever you have.
Yeah.
You ever get that feeling sometimes, Kim and Krista, people listening, or if you're looking at your pet, a dog, in this for an example, and they're looking at you and you're talking to them that little, hi, Fido, come on, hey, what's up, buddy? What's going on, Fido? What's wrong, buddy? What's wrong? And they look at you, they kind of cock their head, they look kind of sad, and in their mind, they want to be able to talk to you. And they can't figure it out how to, pronounce words, or in some cases, like yourself, telepathically kind of, throw off that accent. I think that and a lot of us too have that connection with their animals. A lot of people claim to telepathically speak with Bigfoot or people from the other side. A parent, a lost parent, or brother or sister. Yeah. And again, coming back to what we were talking about earlier, all these things, they're all related.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, you look at a dog and a cat, they're alien. I mean, they got fur. They're nothing like us. So you look at them as alien.
No,
there's a thought, right? I mean, we just accept them as dogs and cats, but they're nothing like human. I think that they're more spiritually enhanced than we are.
Oh, for sure. I believe all the animals are spiritually enhanced, more so than us.
They're smart.
And they're more pure than a human being, correct?
They teach us love. Yeah, they teach us unconditional love.
And you can't beat that unconditional love. And the thing about all these subjects, thank you, Ristel. Kim is amazing. Love the good vibe. Kim, there's so many cool comments. I posted some. The people are loving you. They're showing you the love. And I want to thank Ristel for the super chat and Diane Boss for the super chat. Diane loves the show. Ristel, Kim's amazing. And I posted some other comments. So Kim and everybody, little Kimmy, she was so nervous earlier. People are not going to like me. Well, Kim, you certainly have a following. And by the way, really quickly too, you do have a YouTube channel, and it's called, and what's it? And the name of it is
Living Beyond the Looking Glass.
Living Beyond the Looking Glass.
Yeah, it's just my experiences of what I'm going.
Your experiences, what she's going through. So a lot of things you're talking about on today's show, you can find obviously in video format on your channel. Yes,
just me and my phone talking with my experiences. The Grim Reaper's on there too, and I'm adding new ones every day. So
thank you to Gary Spikes. 5 new BMR Pirates are. Thank you, courtesy of Gary Spikes Sr. Join today. Thank you so much, Senior. I love Gary Spikes Sr. Great guy. One of my best moderators I got. Gary, love you. Thank you so much for that. An upstanding gentleman. I don't know. I don't call you a gentleman, Gary. You might frown on that. I don't know. He's a rugged outdoorsman. Rugged outdoorsman. And he's a great researcher. Thanks, Gary. So all these things we're talking about now, we could reflect back on you've had experience with actual ghosts differently from what we've been talking about today. Yeah. Now, the ghosts that you've come across, they've been doing an investigation or something that happened randomly. Were they ghosts that you were unfamiliar with, or they mostly maybe from a family member or a relative, a friend, something along those lines.
I've had a lot of experiences, like a grab bag of just about a little bit of what you've said.
Okay.
The ones that I brought with me today is from a house clearing from this little boy.
Ooh, good.
Talk about amazing. When my shaman friend and I work together, it's like the vortex is even more stronger. Like it's hard to describe. It's like we're super, super psychic and super, super mediums when we work together. It's the craziest thing. So I had a client call me, say, please help. And so we went there. As soon as we walked in, the client says, can you give us, I think she was just testing us. Can you give us the name of a child here? I said I said a child's name, and my friend said a child's name. We were different. My friend named the child's name that lived there, and I named the child's name that was the ghost. So it was very strange. So she was on one wavelength picking up on, the earthly stuff, and I'm picking up on the ghostly stuff. But the cool thing that happened is that so my shaman friend was in the backyard because they were looking for something. And I have a spirit guy named White Feather, and he's kind of like the moderator of he'll get tribes back together when there's conflict, and he'll kind of resolve anything out there in the spiritual world. Mm-hmm. So I saw all these Native Americans in the backyard, and they were fighting. So I had White Feather go out there and say, can you help them? And I'm going to help them find this little boy. So I was downstairs in the basement, and they were remodeling the basement. And I felt this really scary, creepy vibe of like an old man. It was really creepy. And so I'm in this bathroom part where they're starting to, redo it all. And all of a sudden, this little boy ghost ran right behind me. I think his name was Charles or Charlie. And he, like when they're 4 or 5 year olds, they grab your leg, and when your kids are small, and they're like, oh, I'm hiding. So I'm talking to this little ghost boy, and I said, what's the matter? What's going on? He goes, the mean man won't let me leave. The mean man won't let me leave. And face to face to this ghost, and he was like trying to get in my face, and I'm like, you are not scaring this boy. I went right back into his face, and I basically told him, you have to get the heck out of here, or I'll force him out. And I think, he didn't want to leave right away. But anyway, my friend and I, we used rattles to make a vortex in a shamanic, Peruvian shamanic way to build a vortex to send them out. And we open up all 4 corners, the west, the east, and all that. And this little boy said, the same time when my friend said, this little boy said, can I bring my yellow truck? Oh, I got goosebumps. And I said, where's your yellow truck, little guy? And then my friend's out there. She goes, Kim, we found a yellow toy truck out here. And I'm like, what? Oh, wow. My hair's standing up right now. And I said, absolutely. My friend found it. My friend found it. You can take this truck with you. So I told my friend, bring it in, because we're going to send this little boy. And this boy was lost. He died like a long time ago. He's looking for his mom. And his mom was in the light, so we had to send him into the light. So we used the rattles to send him home. And so my friend brought this, and I told her exactly what happened. She goes, wow, that's so weird. And so we opened up the vortex, and I saw in my mind's eye that he had the yellow truck in his hand that my friend found. And wow. He went up into the light. And then there was the mean guy, and I said, you better get your soul butt up there, or I'm going to put you somewhere else. And he goes, okay, I'm going. And, so me and my friend, we booted him out. I said, you need to find your family. That's what I felt like he needed. You need to find love where you're going to go. Wow. And then we closed it up. But I think it's those kind of stories that I love being a medium, because this little boy, he was being tormented by this creepy old guy. He was just scaring him, like, in a spiritual sense, because spiritual people too, you could be a jerk, like if you were alive, and you carry that with you. But I just remember the little boy's little hands wrapped around my leg, you know, just hiding behind me like I was going to be his protector.
Wow.
And it was such an amazing feeling when he said he wanted the yellow truck, and my friend found it the same exact time he said that.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
You know, Kim. Okay, I've learned this from the girls, Krista, Randy, a couple others. The energy you exude this great energy, positive. I'm getting my vibe from you is so positive. Everything you've talked about, like for the most part, is all really benevolent, not malevolent, which is the opposite, right? But I got to ask you, we haven't even got into. Well, I guess we kind of have. When we're looking at like, if you're going through your lifetime, your experiences with like paranormal, let's just say, have you? And again, for me, it's hard to think that you would ever come across anything negative. Has there been anything really in your life that you've now? It's up to you, of course. Anything that when you had an experience of maybe a paranormal nature that kind of scared you to like where
Yeah.
why do I have these gifts? Why am I doing this? And wanted to run.
Yes. Yeah. I have a lot of those. The last year's podcast I was on with you, I was talking about. I think Chris and I decided it wasn't a demon; it was just a dark shadow.
Mhm.
But he went on top of me, and his face turned into my husband's face at the time.
Oh boy. Yes.
Yeah, it was
Mhm.
it was like it was an astral thing. I came out half my body. I'm like, oh shit. And it was about 4 feet tall, had a round head, blacker than black. It wasn't like the Grim Reaper, because I was scared of this thing. The Grim Reaper, I'm like, I'd rather go with that Grim Reaper than go with that guy, you know. And so I went back into my body, and he was coming at me. I'm like, there's nothing creepier than seeing a black shadow thing coming at slow-mo, knowing it's
Right.
coming at you.
Absolutely.
And our eyes locked with each other, and I'm trying to pray, and I felt all these hands going over my mouth, my throat, and I was like, Jesus help, and I was trying to do the Lord's Prayer. I kept on feeling all these hands trying to shut me down, and that changed me. That like, F this, I'm not doing this anymore. Like, but I didn't have a choice. I was, you know, when you're chosen, you know, you got to do it. But it took me down for a whirlwind. But I got to put my own spin on dark stuff though, because I call it like shadow work. Like if I didn't see that, I had to be wakened up of what I was living and denying. Like my husband was drinking. I didn't know he was drinking. He was doing things he shouldn't have been doing. I didn't know that. I was like, la la, la, everything's fine.
Which is
You
what was
know?
that like out of character then? Something different? Or
Yeah, it was waking me up to what my surroundings were.
Yeah.
And so, I know, I think shadow work and dark things, they bring things to light that you carry, either it be generational or whatever you're carrying inside. Because I carry a bunch of generational stuff from my father's side, because that side is messed up, you know, in so many senses of that word. Words, you know, so I carry a lot of that, and but I feel like it's shadow work. Like, you know, you can't run from it. It's like you know, the creator makes good and bad, and the bad is, to me, it's useful, if you will. If I didn't see any of that, I would just be living a lie again. I'd still be living a lie.
Wow.
Yeah. It's always it was really hard to see my own shadow, what I carried. You know, like, wow, I'm not such a nice person. You know, like I had to change. I mean, I was brought to my knees. You know, I had to humble myself. So, and rightly so. So, I mean, I can sit here and say, you know, evil's evil, but I made use of it. I make lemonade out of lemons, I guess. I don't know, but I'm willing to change whatever I need to be at my highest version of myself, and let it be shadow people or whatever. It's helped me. I live a completely different life. I don't work at the Secretary of State anymore. That was just drama city.
Oh,
Well,
You
you
know,
definitely
my
now
energy.
have a great aura about you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You do.
And I remember the first night I was being attacked, and I was fed every lie I said when I was a kid. You know, even stealing gum, calling
Mhm,
off work. You know, when I was in my 20s, you know, working
mhm,
at dealerships, I didn't want to go into work. I just make up stuff, and it would all come back. And at
mhm.
first it's like, how dare you? And I'm like, oh no, it's how dare I? You know, so the dark is really bringing out stuff you need to clear. That's how I see it.
Yeah,
That's my experience. I mean, if you're open to like, okay, what's this mean? You can learn stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
s-
That's just my take on it.
no,
Mhm.
that's a good take.
Absolutely.
I mean, Kristen, speaking about learning stuff, I was trying to learn how to astral project for a while, and I think I kind of achieved a part of it before, and it kind of
Yeah.
freaked me out, so I quit doing it. And I was talking to a lot of different people when it comes to astral projecting and maybe a couple of these out of body things that people try to attempt. What's the other one, Chris? With the not astral projecting, but also
Like remote viewing.
remote viewing and things like that. Okay, so I was told a handful of people told me, Rob, you shouldn't try to do that because number one, you don't know where the heck you're going, and you could be going into an area that is controlled by maybe demonic forces
Hmm.
and also from positive forces. So when you're just from your experiences, I know no one's an expert here. What's your thoughts on that? Is that something that I should continue to try to attempt, or is something like if you don't know what you're doing,
Yeah,
you
that
could
was my first intuitive thought. I'm like, don't do it if you don't know what you're doing, because it really opened up a lot of rabbit holes for me.
okay,
And Chris and I don't know if you remember, but it's like I was like bumper bowling. I learned paranormal. I was never taught, hey, there's dark stuff out there, or hey, this is how you protect yourself. I was like, oh, everything's shiny, everything's so
Yeah.
good. You know, it's like that's so not true. You know, but
yeah,
I learned this from bumper bowling because I
Yeah.
tried everything. Kundalini, holy crap, that opened up my eye, and I saw. I don't even want to tell you what I saw. It was good, bad, and everything in between, and I was not prepared for that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, unless you want your life to alter, I would just go slowly with it. I went all in. I went all in. I was like, yeah. It was a belly flop, actually.
yeah. Well, I'm kind of an all or nothing type of guy,
Yeah, well,
but
then, hey, if
Mhm.
that's your calling.
nothing in moderation for me. I go
But
in. Yeah,
demons are real. I mean, so
Yep.
is,
oh
family
yeah,
curses and generational stuff. And you might be attacked from something that, your great, 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 great grandfather might have done. And that stuff is real. And
Yep.
we carry that sometimes. And sometimes that's brought to the surface. You got to find a way how to end that stuff. And
Mhm.
it's like, I'm like a ninja, like with a, trying to clear my family, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there is demons out there. I'm
Mhm.
I'm not fond of wanting to see one, but you know, dark shadow people, or the one that changed his face to my husband, it was showing me, this is who you're sleeping with, dude. Like, hey, he's drinking, he's doing stuff he shouldn't be doing. And I'm like, everything's love and light, new age shit.
well,
It's like I didn't know how to discern. Now I'm like,
Right.
oh yeah, that's not good. You can't just be peace and love all the time.
Yeah.
it's not the '60s.
All right. But
And,
I mean, I didn't know any different. I was so naive.
well,
Mhm.
we're all naive about things. Like I'm naive about trying to astral project, which I tried like last year once or twice.
Yeah.
I was just reading books but the thing that's really creeps me out, and you mentioned this a little bit earlier about darkness on darkness,
Yeah.
about I saw shadow people, which it was crazy because in the darkest room I was in, I seen a shadow person which is darker than the blackness. And
Hmm.
that really I couldn't process that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's hard.
And it's like and it was an image of a human, a
Hmm.
humanoid. to see darkness come out of darkness, I automatically think that can't be positive.
Well, I've seen black shadow people, and they were just past people who live in the house still. So my sister just saw one too, not that long ago. She didn't get a really weird vibe. I mean, just because they're dark doesn't mean it's evil. It just means that it's just how they emanate their soul or their
Yeah.
image. Yeah. A lot of people are like, oh, it's a dark shadow. It's like, wait, can you talk to it? Like, wait a minute,
This has been such a great show, Kim, and we got to get onto this now and kind of turning the tables a little bit.
Okay.
For everybody just joining us, you got to watch the replay. We've covered a lot, and what we're going to cover.
Fun.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this.
Kim, I remember it was a blast last time you were on back a year ago, and this is equally as fun. But we got to get into now your experience with, of course, what everybody's been waiting for, the Dogman. Yeah, of course. You said it ahead of me.
I must be psychic.
You must be. Yeah. Go figure. I would not have known that.
So this was in Glenny, Michigan. So this was around 2017, maybe. My friend called me, and she.
Oh, and not to interrupt you, Glenny, Michigan, I've had a report on a Sasquatch and a Dogman over the last couple of years. Just to let you know.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me because I know what I heard and what I saw was, I didn't know there was a Dogman at the time. I called him Wolfman. I didn't follow any of that stuff before.
Yeah.
But so my friend, she's very connected to the elementals, like fairies. And she would just have like these little gnomes that would come visit her, and she's super, super psychic. But then it got darker and darker and darker. And she goes, Kim, I'm telling you, you got to come over here. I think there's like a dog person that's on my roof. And I'm like, what? Wait, what? It's February, And she said, I'm going to take these pictures of these canine prints. And so she sent them to me, and they weren't 4, they were 2. And they were a good stride, like 5.5 feet apart, and almost like it was hopping, if that makes sense. It's hard because when I went there, I was looking at them. I'm like, what the heck? And you can see the prints that went to the front of her house. And I didn't go on the roof, but you can tell that's where it jumped to go on the roof. And I didn't know that's a thing that Dogmans do. I just found that out just a couple days ago. And like I said, I didn't really follow that because I have enough with my alien stuff.
Sure.
So she goes, he's gone now, but he jumped out the back. So I saw the prints. Like I said, they were big. They were like a size of a IHOP pancake, a little small IHOP pancake. And there were 2 of them. And it was just, the stride was just so far apart. And I go, this is really strange. If it didn't have the snow, I wouldn't believe it, So I stayed with her for a while. I gave her some crystals. I gave her some sage. I didn't know what to do. How do you get rid of Dogman? I mean, it's not a ghost. So I'm trying to give her my whole bag of medicine that I had for her. And so I ended up leaving. But when I left, I kept on hearing like this howl. And I'm like, it was not a yowie. I know what coyotes sound like because I lived in Alger at the time and I hear them. So I roll down my window some more, and I'm going really slow, and I'm looking at these tracks. They're going into the wood line. And all of a sudden I hear this howl. It's almost like when you want to howl with your dog, but you do it together with them. So I don't know if everybody does it, but I do that. I howl with my dog all the time. Part of being a wolf totem, I guess. But it's kind of like it was half human, half dog.
Hey,
Kim. Half wolf.
Kim, really quickly, can you repeat your channel name again? Because Gary will drop your link. I don't have the link for it, so he'll look it up for you.
Yeah, it's Living Beyond the Looking Glass.
Living Beyond the Looking Glass.
Or you can find me on Facebook, Kimberly Faith.
Facebook Kimberly Faith. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Thanks, Gary.
Yeah.
Okay.
You'll see my dog howling on the back part. But anyway, so the tracks went to the front of the trees, and it was really dense back there. So when I was leaving, it was a super, super loud howl. I've never heard anything like that before, ever. It was like half human, more wolf, but there was a human sound to it, if that even makes sense.
Wow.
Yeah. I didn't know I couldn't even wrap my brain around that. I didn't know what that was.
So you said that you rolled your window down. Were you scared? Like, I mean, did you know
Yeah.
what a Dogman was at this point?
Never heard of it. Never heard of it. When she said that there was something, she didn't tell me that she was hearing any howls, but she heard them hopping on her roof. And
Wow.
they look like canine. They look like canine prints, and there was two of them, like two hind legs, if you will. But there weren't four. I'm like, why would there be two? Like, I didn't know anything, like I'm so naive to that. But as soon as I seen the prints going into the wood, that's where it got loud. It was absolutely, and I heard it on the outside of my ears. It wasn't on the inside of my ears. So I know that just didn't seem right, because I knew it wasn't a coyote, because I know they have a completely different sound.
Wow.
Yeah. I didn't find that out about Dogman until like way later.
So
Like
your
years.
friend, was that the last that she had?
She moved. She moved. Yeah, because somebody died in that house too, and that house was just dark. She just being intuitive. She was always getting constantly harassed.
Interesting.
All the sage in the world wouldn't help her. I gave her all kinds of crystals, big geodes. It wasn't enough.
This is very interesting, because even a couple people in chat, Glenn, JoJo, brought up, because my last two encounter stories I did were involved Dogman, and one was in Michigan, and one was, I believe, in Alabama. I'm not
Alabama,
sure.
I think.
Okay.
Okay.
And both of these, it involved Dogman on roofs.
Oh,
and one, and again, there's two stories, so they're a little different, but the same with the roof. A Dogman, it was on the roof, prancing back and forth on the roof.
Yep.
And it was tearing shingles off of the roof and was throwing the shingles on the ground. And this guy got out of his house, looking up at his roof, and sees this bipedal werewolf-looking creature staring down at him.
Wow.
And it jumped off. It landed not 5 feet from him, ran bipedally toward the wood line, and then got 4 legs on all 4, like a wolf or a dog. And then it's running toward his tree line on his property. And this, I think, was the one in Michigan. And then all of a sudden, an orange orb emulates from the tree line. And this Dogman type creature ran toward this orb, and the orb absorbed this Dogman, this creature, right into it and disappeared.
Yeah, I believe that 100%. I didn't see an orb, but I've heard of orange orbs being connected to Bigfoot and the elementals, if you will. Yeah.
Wow.
No, and again, is what I love about yourself coming on, and some of the emails and stuff that I get. It's about all this data and all these things. It's a lot of commonalities that people just don't make a lot of this stuff up, right?
Yeah.
I mean, when you get so many that they ring the same, yet different. Every story is different, of course, but the subject or the meat of the story talks about roofs, or talks about coming from an orb, or disappearing into an orb, or all of a sudden the tree turned into a Bigfoot or a portal. What's your thoughts? You talk about the elementals. Chris and I did a show on elementals not too long ago. My belief is the forest is just a network, much like the network on the internet. All the living things of the forest are connected. The root system is like the pathway, like an internet pathway. And I believe that they all communicate. I believe that trees are portals. And yes, like the elementals, which is the wind, earth, fire. But there's also beings that evolve from this.
Yeah.
That that either guide us on our path. Some elementals help you out of the forest, and some lead you to the staircase in the middle of the forest. It leads to nowhere.
Well, I have a good experience to tell you too. We had my husband, he's passed away now, but we had a fairy garden. And the reason how we got that fairy garden is he was out there hacking up these trees. They're beautiful trees. They're all turny and they're beautiful. But here he is, he's treating it like a hedge, and all of a sudden we get all this bad luck in the family. Like things were just happening. His mom got sick, and she ended up dying, and then I hurt my knee. We had money issues. Everything was just going down the crapper. So I went to see this medium in Fenton. She's an angel reader. So we go there, and this is early on. This is like 2010, I think, 2011. And she says, "You've got one pissed off gnome." And he's like, "What did I do?" She goes, "You're hacking up trees." I'm like, "I told you should have kept them. You should have just left them trees alone." So he's freaking out. Like he's freaking out. So he's like, "How do I make this better?" She goes, "You nurture that and make it a fairy garden." And it became the most beautiful fairy garden. He used to make fairy homes out of birch stumps, like little. Oh, he he was so good at. He made like little fairy doors out of like wood. It was amazing. So as soon as he started putting his creativity into that, we would feed him Skittles. We even have orbs on camera when we're feeding them. And the whole thing, the whole dynamics of that fairy garden changed. It felt so much lighter, and our bad luck turned into good luck.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. That's a great story.
Mhm.
And kind of reminds me of something, Krista. I was talking to this guy. I haven't done the story yet, but he was out in the forest by his house and saw what he thought was these gnomes. He didn't know if they were gnomes or little people, but he thought they were gnomes. They were covered in actually like skins of squirrels, but they're like 2.5. They were like a foot, 2 foot high or whatever.
Mhm.
And prior to the story, he's had a gnome garden in his backyard for many years, statues of gnomes. He's a gnome collector, and he never has taken them out of the position. They've always sat in his garden, each corner, one in the middle, sitting there for many years. But he thought that in the forest he saw actual live gnomes running about, but they for whatever reason they were irritated with this guy for stumbling across them. Yeah.
Oh no.
And they were making all this chatter, which was like kind of, like ticked off chatter at this guy.
Mhm.
And this guy was like, "Holy cow." So anyway, Kim, he decides, well, that's it. I'm out of here. I have nothing to do with this. Shaking his head on his way back to his house. Gets back home. Goes back outside and he goes to his garden. And he goes, "For the life of me, Rob, all the gnomes that he had positioned in the same spots for many years, they were all disturbed and rearranged."
I believe that.
Mhm.
I believe that.
Wow.
We had the most beautiful fairies in there. We had the solar ones. We'd have like a bird bath. We would bring Skittles out there. I mean, we would bring out. He made this beautiful thing out of this oak stump. I'll send you a picture one day. And little
Okay.
doors with like banana amethyst on it. We had all these crystals, and we got orbs. It totally. They can make your life, or they can break your life if you make them mad. I was a witness to that.
Mm-hmm.
I know you have. This has been such a great show. We got to close it up in a little bit.
Okay.
Before we leave, is there anything on top of your head that you'd like to share? Because this has been such a great show. People are really, really love what you've brought to us today. It's 1:35. We've gone a little over. Anything you want to finalize the show up with? Anything off the top of your head? I know. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
You said I can.
Yeah. I think my final word would be, respect the unseen. Like we're talking about the elementals, that's real. Be kind to the trees, be kind to the invisibles. me, I save everything I can, even a caterpillar or a worm. It's just, that's just how I've become. My life is like, slow down your life and really absorb the true world, which is nature, and be kind. Just be kind to the trees, be kind to people, because just don't, like, when you're gonna paranormal investigate, know what you're doing, hire somebody to help you or guide you. Don't
Right.
just indulge in something on a whim, like, hey, I feel like doing this right now. I've aged a lot because of my experiences, but maybe rightly so, to help others. So I would just say respect the dead, and don't be out there just rustling up the dead and treat them like they didn't matter, because some of them are just trapped. Like, treat them respectfully,
Sure.
and just like you would a family member. So I've learned all that. So I think that would be my thing.
No, that's great parting advice, and I can tell with your energy. And I'm not in, I can't read auras, but I can tell why you've had mostly positive things. We all have negative in our life, but
Yeah.
some of the things that you've come across in this realm or paranormal world we all live in, they've been pretty much, they've helped you more than hindered you, and probably opened you up to the world around you. Right? Is that an accurate
Yeah,
statement?
I think if people can understand, like, when there is darkness going on, it's always like the dark night of the soul, right, Krista? People say that all the time. So we go through a hard time, but you got it. Like, what can I learn from this? Like, it, I don't know, even paranormal or not paranormal. If you're going through a hard time, what can you learn from it? What can I do to learn from this? And
Yep.
And just like any walk of life, like you said, just in
yeah, don't
life
be
in
the victim.
general.
Don't be like, woe is me, because that you'll never get anywhere. Like,
Sure. Absolutely.
Just like the guy that always says, "Man, I had this crazy encounter with the dog, man. My life's in shambles," and they can never get out of the darkness of that. And it's a
some people
dark
can't.
time.
They're
I
so
get it.
traumatized. Yeah, I
I get
mean,
it. But that's why we do these
yeah,
shows. But you don't let the dark side beat you. And I know that's like a movie,
yeah.
like Star Wars, the dark side. But
Because it could
that's
be helping you, though, for real.
it,
Like, here you are on a BMR channel, like, helping people from your
Right.
bad experience. It's
hey, I
like
experienced
the
everything
the
from
dark
death.
helps you, I think.
Hey,
Yeah.
listen, I experienced darkness. I experienced death. And I
Yeah,
was in a dark place for 6 months. You did not want
yeah.
to be a friend of mine, because I'll
You can.
guarantee you this: you weren't a friend of mine, because I was not a good person. Not that I did evil things. I was just not a
Right.
person you want to be around, is all I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean,
Negative
I got
energy,
it. Yeah.
Right.
It's
you
that's what
know.
I'm saying. It's like the dark helps you. It's like, don't say, oh my God, why me? It's like, if you're open to change, it's like you can really have a good life once you get past it,
You
and
know,
understand it.
if you
Mhm.
combat the darkness, it eventually leads you to light.
It
Yep.
does. All dark is needs to be lit up, you know?
Yeah.
Yep.
Kim, one more time. What is your channel name? They're having problems finding it on YouTube.
It's Living Beyond the Looking Glass, and I think there's 4 numbers after it. Let me look on my other phone here.
Okay. I'm
I
looking
don't
to
know why it does that, because it's
Living Beyond
the Looking Glass.
the Looking Glass.
Yeah.
All right.
Because I know sometimes they add numbers to it, and it's like, who's gonna
Gotcha.
find it with those numbers?
You know what? Can you
But this,
send Rob the link and
Yeah,
then
you know what
we
I'm
can
going to
get it
do?
posted? Yeah.
For everybody in chat and everybody listening, that's not in chat. Kim, yeah, send me I'll look it up, or you send it to me, and I'll post it
Yeah, I'm
in
not
this
seeing it either.
description.
yeah, I don't know why, because I've got 18 videos up.
Huh.
Let me see where it says view channel.
It's a goofy YouTube. I'm telling
Yeah.
you.
Okay, it's Living Beyond the Looking Glass 7498.
7498.
Yeah, I don't know why they added that. Maybe if you find it.
Well, let's
Other
look
people
and
were having a
see.
hard time too.
Oh, I
Well,
found you. All right.
Okay,
okay, cool.
All right. I will share and I will subscribe to you as
thank
well.
you. It's brand new, so I'm just kind of a little
Well,
nervous putting things out there.
no, you're fine. I'll put it I'll put it in this video description.
Yep. It
Just
came up as you, Rob, but I just
oh
shared
yeah.
it there for you. And I will subscribe right now to you.
Thank
Yeah, and
you.
And everybody, this link will be lit up in this show. So you guys, when you go back and check it out again, and for people just tuning on in, I'll have the link for Kim, because I thumbed through it really quickly, and a lot of really cool down to earth stuff in there, and very it's good. I like the channel, and I am a subscriber myself.
Yes, you are. I see that. I'm watching.
And before we go, yeah, you're watching me, all right.
You should get quite a few tonight. There's a bunch of people saying they sub to
Oh,
yeah,
that'd be
you're
great.
getting a lot tonight. This is a great show.
Yeah.
Diane Boss.
If it can help
Diane.
somebody, you know.
You know, so well, that's what we always preach this. We say this all the time. I'm about helping people. So the Blondes and the Booze and Tex and Barton. And Diane Boss, thanks for the super chat. Ristel, thanks for the super chat. Thanks, Gary Spike Sr., who just left. He gifted 5 BMR Pirate memberships. You too can become a member. Just hit the join button. Thanks for all that. And so today is Tuesday, of course. Wednesday is Barton at 9. Thursday, it's what? Me, Josh, Tex, and somebody else?
And Brandy.
And Brandy. And your guest. Thursday.
There's no guest. It's just the 4 of you.
Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah. You guys go down whatever rabbit hole you want to go down.
Yeah. So it'll be Josh, Rob, Tex, and that'll be fun. That'll be a fun one. Yeah. Looking forward to that. And then, of course, you're on Friday night, and that's whatever that ends up being.
Whatever Brandy wants to do.
Whatever Brando wants to do.
Yep.
Well, this is a great show. Thanks. And if you're new here, subscribe to Bigfoot, Mr. Rob, the Blondes and the Booze, Paranormal Podcast, Texas Front Porch, Barton Donnelly, Inhumanoids. And, of course, Living Beyond the Looking Glass, 7498. It's easier to go back to my channel. I'll post the link and just hit that subscribe button.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on. It was good to see you again.
It was good to see you too, Krista, and you too, Rob. Thanks for having me. I had fun.
Great. No, well, I tell you what, we're gonna wait more than a year because I know that you got another 90 minutes of things that we have
I probably do. I know I do.
There you go.
So with that being said, I do want to thank everybody on behalf of Krista and Kim at good old BMR. Until next time.
See ya.
We're out.